Welcome to UC Summit. My name is David Dungay, Editor-in-Chief here at UC Today. So we are talking about the hybrid meeting room today, and I have with me three gentlemen, Espen from Cisco, Marcus from Yamaha, and Tyler from Shure. Welcome to the show, guys. How are we all today?
Doing great.
Thank you. Fine.
So let's do a round of introductions for our audience who may not be familiar with yourselves. Espen, do you want to go first? Tell us who you are and what you do within Cisco.
Sure, David. So my name is Espen Løberg. I'm head of product management for Cisco WebEx Rooms, which is our video conferencing devices portfolio. I'm working out of our head of our development site here in Oslo, Norway. And I've been doing this for the last 13 years or so. I came into Cisco with the Tandberg acquisition 10 years back.
Brilliant. And Marcus, tell us who you are.
Yeah, my name is Marcus Müller. I'm the head of sales and marketing for Unified Communications at Yamaha in Europe. And I'm based near Hamburg in the European headquarters. And I'm responsible for open up the channels for the Yamaha UC products in Europe.
Excellent. And Tyler?
Yeah, I'm Tyler. I'm with Shure's market development team based in the U.S. In Northern California, so kind of covering the San Francisco Bay, Silicon Valley area, and then up into Seattle, so kind of the tech centers up there, and just kind of help support Shure in a technical role to help kind of advocate for our products and also educate on what might be the perfect product for the space.
Brilliant. Okay, so today we're here to talk about hybrid meeting rooms. So I think first of all we need to really define in our minds what they are. Obviously, different businesses have sort of different definitions. Marcus, do you want to kick us off? You know, what does hybrid meeting room? What does that mean to you?
So for me in person, or even for us as a company, hybrid meeting room means that you have two parts. So in a hybrid meeting room, you can sit together with other people, but others from other locations can easily join. And in these kind of hybrid meeting rooms, you can also work together. It's not only for conferencing. You can also do maybe workshops, something like this. So it all based on collaboration. And this kind of rooms has to be equipped in a special way because it's not only like doing a phone call. It's more that you can do in this kind of a hybrid meeting room.
Sure. Okay. And Espen, you know, what does that phrase mean to yourself and Cisco?
Yeah, to me, the hybrid meeting room really means that it's a meeting room that is equipped to facilitate meetings with remote participants, which is something every meeting room has to do in the next normal. I think a hybrid meeting room to me isn't really that different from the meeting rooms we've had and built and equipped from Cisco over the last 15 years. But the big difference going forward is that any meaningful meeting room will need to be a meeting room that is equipped with the technology that allows remote participants to join in an equal way. So I think it's the context that is different initially. It's not so much the room as such.
Sure. Okay. I mean, before we came on air, Tyler, you were saying you've been building hybrid meeting rooms for a number of years now. You know, are you building different types of rooms today than you were, 5 years ago? What does that mean for you?
Yeah, I think Espen hit the perfect word of equal. You know, we've been doing VC for 15, 20 years, especially, in the Bay Area. I've seen companies like Cisco and getting into Zoom and with Seattle, with Teams and Skype and all that stuff. So we've been building these VC rooms for quite a while, but that equal part, I think, is the really important piece, which is we've always had kind of these hybrid meeting spaces where you'd have, a physical space for physical participants and then kind of a virtual platform in there to empower the remote employees. But now with kind of the new work from home and this new normal, it's about bringing that kind of equality. So they have the exact same content sharing. They're having the exact same audio experience. It's not just about empowering a few. It's about empowering a lot more now. And I think that's really where the hybrid word is getting stressed.
Sure. Okay. Well, let's pick at that a little bit more. What is the difference between a video call? We know videos exploded in last year 2020. What's the difference between that and one of these hybrid sort of virtual meeting calls? Marcus, do you want to have a go at that one?
I think, even the video calls are not so brand new, but they got a new, I would say, a visibility because of the big players that came to the market. As Tyler mentioned, there's now Zoom, we have Microsoft Teams, we have Google Meet, we have all the different kind of people now focusing on video at the moment. And even also, I know that Cisco focused on video a long time ago. So video calls, or we call it in the past, it was telepresence call, that was quite even normal. But I think that's now come more together, that people work together and not only communicate together. So that's a major issue. So that platforms build up where people can work together, share the work on the same documents. And this is maybe something that is quite new. And there's a difference between an old video call where you just say hello. You can turn off the video, so you still can have a communication, a very good communication, without having video. But when it comes to the point that you want to share even something that's written physically on a board, and another one would like to see it, and then it comes to another point, and you need another quality in terms of video, and even also in terms of audio, or in terms of the platform. And maybe this leads already to the next question. What are the biggest challenges to equip a room with the right things? You need the platform, you need the technology, of course, but I don't think that the main thing is based on a video call at all. It's much, much more behind. So I think it's you have to look at this part at all.
Okay. Espen, what's your take then on as we've had that nice segue into our second question there? I mean, what are you seeing as the challenges there for businesses when they're trying to implement this perhaps newer technology for them?
Yeah, I would say that, I mean, the biggest difference, I think, going forward between the pre-COVID world is that back in, or just a year back, in most, I mean, video meetings from rooms, the balance was different. Most people were in the room, and you had a couple of remote participants. So what's going to happen forward is that the balance is dramatically shifting. We know that even in the new normal, way more people will work from home permanently. Way more people will work from home some days per month, maybe up to 50-60%. So the balance is shifting. So you have to kind of be much more respectful, I think, from a technology perspective and with regards to, and platform perspective, with regards to how we facilitate and make sure that the remote participants are first grade citizens in the meeting. I think that was maybe not done so well previously, and so that's and make sure that everybody is equal, as Tyler said. And I think a lot of the expectations that have been created when everybody is at home and truly equal will set put new requirements onto the meeting room, the hybrid meeting room environment. But I think but I think the initial challenge will maybe not be so much in the actual how you think about the actual meeting room, as long as that's equipped with high quality video conferencing. I think what will need to happen is that all rooms will have to have technology. Back in the days, we saw that, or even I mean last year. The meeting rooms were only equipped with video into the kind of 8 to 9% degree globally. I think that the projections now is that from McKinsey, for instance, is that the video enablement of meeting rooms will explode to kind of the 5 to 10x level as soon as people are starting to return to offices. Right? So I think the biggest challenges will be for companies to understand the scale and plan for a holistic workplace experience that take user experience into account, take scaling the experience into account, the manageability and analytics into account, so that you can meaningfully kind of evolve your deployment. I think that's going to be what a lot of companies will underestimate initially, the massive increase in need for these rooms.
Okay, I mean, clearly we're all we're in this very strange time. It doesn't matter which part of the world you're in. We almost got 5 minutes through a conversation there, Espen, without someone mentioning the word COVID. Let's talk about that. And are we seeing the need for these spaces being reflected in customer spend? Are businesses that perhaps have a large chunk of their workforce sitting at home now remotely, are they taking this time to sort of upgrade those rooms to video? Are you seeing that happen already? Espen, what are you seeing there?
I think we see that to some extent in the few parts of the world where people are starting to return to office. But I think most companies are still grappling with exactly how they will go about it. I believe that they see that they will need to make the investment, but at the same time they're also having to make an investment with their employees that are working from home. And I think most companies honestly currently are mostly focused on how can I deliver a better experience for people working from home. How do I fund their experience? How do we become more prescriptive about the work from home experience to make sure that we have a high quality hybrid workplace experience? So I think most companies are still kind of a bit torn with regards to how they will spend, particularly in this situation where 90% of us are still working from home. But I think a lot of companies are certainly strategizing around this and trying to figure out how they can shift investments and how they can optimize their real estate to be able to technology equip their offices, and a lot of companies are starting to think and talk about their offices as collaboration hubs. I mean, nobody will come back into the office again unless the offices are very appealing and can offer qualities that you just don't have at home. So there needs to be an investment in the office space for people to even care about going back in.
Okay, Tyler, tell us your view on that. Obviously, video, obviously an important part of any meeting room, I would have thought, going forwards. You know, what are you seeing from the technology point of view and how people are equipping these rooms? Are you seeing that coming through now?
Yeah, I mean, depending on regulations and where we're at in terms of restrictions, we're seeing people get in and want to make those foundational changes. I mean, at the base, it's always, square footage, and especially in high price markets, it's how do you utilize that square footage to the maximum extent. I think there's been small talk about reevaluating the usefulness of huddle spaces. Is that going to make sense kind of going forward in this space, or are we going to need more space? So it's re-equipping square footage inside the office space, but also taking into consideration square footage of individual employees where we're making our video calls from. How do we empower our end users to not only get great experiences from these offices, but also to send a great experience back for those participants who are back in the office and are participating physically in that space. We've had this great video conferencing for the longest time has been this fantastic enablement of about 95% of great video and really good audio and content sharing. And so I think the arms race for the next little bit is how do we close that last 5% to really make the experience as one-on-one and in person as we can with our participants at the office and our remote participants working from home.
Yeah, it's interesting. You mentioned that the huddle room there. That's been a huge area of growth for the last 5 years or so. The whole nature of a huddle doesn't really sound very feasible in the midst of a global pandemic, unfortunately. Yep. I mean, does this pave the way for new classes of meeting room now? You mentioned the square footage of these spaces is going to be a big consideration. Are we going to see the birth of the singular meeting room? I'm hearing the word Nook for sort of one or two participants. Are you seeing that come through now?
Yeah, I think even before this, there was this kind of new idea of like a focus room is what we've heard of called out here. That kind of singular room where you might have a single person. And I think we'll see an uptick in that, maybe some conversions of some small huddle spaces. I mean, right now everyone's just kind of throwing the dice in the air and seeing how they fall and kind of trying to reimagine their spaces on the fly. And so I think kind of a focus on these smaller spaces, but also how do they, in the short term, how do they reimagine some of their larger spaces where they might have had 8 to 10 people down to, a 4-person room or even a 2-person room. And how do they do that in a way that doesn't, disenfranchise any of their other employees to not be able to use these spaces? So once again, kind of reworking that square footage to make it as usable as possible for their end users.
Yeah, okay. So you mentioned rolling the dice there, Tyler. Well, let's do a bit of that ourselves. How do you predict, what the future of this market is going to look like? I'm not really sure. We've just heard the emergence of some vaccines now, but when they're going to be available, we don't know. How that impacts our workspace, I don't know. I don't think anyone knows at the moment. Let's try and predict, the next 24 sort of months or so. What do we think is going to happen in this space? How is it going to evolve? And what are those spaces virtually and physically going to look like? Marcus, do you want to give us your crystal ball prediction?
So I don't think that's really such a big crystal ball things. We don't know what will happen because at the moment we think many of the people, they don't want to work at home. So you always have to look, what are the conditions they are in there? Some of the people, they really like to work from home and they wanted to be equipped. So we saw when you had the first wave that the people went out and buying headsets, like tons of headsets. And then now they figured out it's not maybe the best thing to work at home. And others figured out, I live in a small flat, have 3 people here and all the house, and I cannot work. I want to go back to the office. So there will be 2 things, I think, in the future. The one they want to go back and the others that want to work from home. And the one that want to go back, they don't want to sit together so closely, I think, because it will be in the head. After 1 year, the people will in the head, no, I don't want to touch you. I want to be near to you. So keep distance. So that's what we already heard, that the rooms will be bigger. So maybe I don't think that we have in Germany or some areas in Europe, we don't have these kind of small huddle rooms. And people, they don't like to be in a two room for 2 people. So we see maybe more areas for more people. And that the people, they don't have to stay too close. So that's maybe we will see that the room sizes will change and also the layout of the whole office will change. So you have, about these co-working places, for example, or I know some areas in Berlin. So there's a company, they have not fixed seats. Everything is quite open. And then they have areas where to meet. And then it's maybe how we can utilize these kind of meeting areas, how we can set up this for a meeting, for something like a workshop. And so this will change. So I think the whole office area will be more flexible and not like closed in small rooms and where you can meet. Maybe this is something I would see. And on the other side, technology-wise, I always mention it's important if you want to communicate, always sound is something very important. And so how we can create areas that are maybe quiet and where you can have meetings and don't disturb others. So there we have maybe some challenges as well in terms of technology, how you can have really good meetings when other people there around if the offices changes. And the third big challenge is the usability. Because maybe if you speak with somebody who's not used to do a video conference, it's always a hassle. And it's something like people say, set up a meeting, a remote meeting takes 10 minutes. And so I think, I don't know who mentioned before, it has to be like you go to a meeting and you have to utilize all the equipment very easy. So it's also the user interface, how to set up a meeting. And this is, I think, is one of the biggest challenges to reach an acceptance and easy of use. Maybe I don't want to touch, I want to control it by voice. So I go into a room, I have a meeting, I call these and these guys. So this is maybe challenges that they get the acceptance. If I want to work today on a platform and share documents and everybody works on one area, it's very difficult. You have to explain, you have to read about it. Then you don't do it for 3 weeks, you have to learn again. So it has to be more intuitive. I think this is a major thing. One is technical equipment. The other one is the platform. The usability has to be very, very easy. Even I know that all these platforms, what they can do, but maybe we use only 5 to 10%. And this has to be so easy that even an old lady or a child can do this, or even people that are used to it not every day. So that's my personal view.
Yeah. Okay. Espen, what's your take on the next, the next few years? What should businesses be thinking about?
I think this will be quite phase. I mean, there will be some quite defined phases here. I think currently and for the next maybe a year or so, it's all about the safe return to office. How do you make employees comfortable going back in at when we're starting to allow that, and then it's all about how you facilitate. I mean, how do you have kind of good check-in mechanisms, signage mechanisms? How do you deal with capacity management, and how do you analyze what's actually going on in your workplace? So that's kind of the initial need, and I think what most companies are currently planning for. And it's also something we're living here. We've been quite fortunate here in Norway. We've had at least one wave of coming back to the office. Then we closed down again. We're back, but we're still in this office at about like 10% capacity now, which is regarded as safe. And we've seen this how this is dynamically changing, right? And how we need to be able to act upon that in very short notice. So having mechanisms to do that is going to be very important, and have the technology implemented that allows you to do that. But again, of course, as you start scaling the return, and as it will become safer and safer, and people will be more and more comfortable, hopefully over the next year, to return, it's all going to be about how you scale rooms or workplaces with an appealing and simple to use experience, as Marcus alluded to, right? Because I think it's in many companies that you need to rethink that. Many companies still probably use kind of legacy technology, old platforms. And we'll need to upgrade to current modern technologies that allows them to make it as easy to join a meeting in the office as it has been when they were working from home. So you need to kind of think about the scale, and then it's about the optimization. How do I, as this evolves, what sort of mechanisms do I have to optimize and make sure that my meeting rooms are being kind of efficiently used, that you don't waste real estate, and with analytics and I would say mechanisms that free up unused spaces based on metrics that rooms aren't being used. So that's one element, and then there's the I would say the employee productivity measure, that you make sure that people don't waste a lot of time trying to find the appropriate meeting room. So you also need to kind of implement technology that allows employees to very easily find the type of meeting room they're after. Because if that's not easily available, and if you need to kind of look around for 10 minutes to find that room, I mean, people will still rather be at home. So I think those are the phases. It's the safe return, it's the scaling, and then it's the intelligence in the workspace that allows for both workplace or kind of real estate optimization and employee productivity.
That intelligence piece, I just want to pick up on that quickly, Espen, if you don't mind. A lot of businesses, they've been thrown into the deep end. When it comes to creating a bit of a hybrid or remote workforce. Now, they're trying to get to grips with analyzing this data. How are my employees working? How do they want to work? Where do they get that intelligence from? Is this a big challenge for businesses as well, actually getting into this data and this analytics to make these decisions?
Yeah, I think it is, right. This is, while I think a lot of businesses have responded well and been able to turn around and take advantage of modern tools to keep their business going. They probably still don't have a lot of insights into what is actually happening and how is this affecting my employees, and how can we optimize kind of, I would say, employee happiness. But I think that's something we will see to a very larger degree. I think it's not only about kind of how people are using meetings, but it's also about kind of how do you deal with all the peripherals that are out. I mean, how do you kind of keep inventory, kind of management of all your headsets, all your web cameras, how do you make sure that it's actually being used and that it's being kind of activated and so on? How do I deal with? I mean, how do I provide my users with the right kind of monitors or video appliances, and how do I manage that at scale and get the analytics to understand how to further optimize, right? So I think we're starting to see kind of companies, I would say, asking for more and more of that insight. But that's also an investment, obviously, when it comes to kind of deploying these platforms.
Okay, and Tyler, what's your best sort of guess over the next 24 months? What are your expectations from your point of view and Shaw's point of view?
Yeah, it's one of those things where, kind of a repetitive behavior turns into a habit. And so I think this kind of getting back into work, as everyone said here, is about making people feel comfortable getting back into it and making sure the environment is conducive for them to come back and want to work and be productive within these new spaces. And so I think a lot of the return to work is going to be just simple trial and error, is going to be people coming back in, trying out new technologies, seeing what's working, checking in with their employees to see if this new technology is working for them or if they think they want to do something else. And just kind of going back and forth between their employees, the technology, and trying things out. And then as that expands out, into the next cycle, as manufacturers get better at creating, solutions for end users, those solutions can be pulled in. And then eventually these type of rooms stop being kind of we're making it up as we go and kind of start working themselves into standards, or consultants are speccing them, and they start working in. So these rooms are being purpose built with this new technology, and not just kind of this technology added to and chairs removed out of rooms. So it's kind of creating a future cycle of rooms that are meant to focus on this return to work in a safe way. And then, depending on where vaccines go and all that type of stuff, this cycle could change in another 4 or 5 years once people are more comfortable and maybe huddle spaces become popular again. It's kind of hard to tell.
Yeah, I mean, that's a really interesting point. The whole market is getting access to a lot of data points and a lot of analytics now that never would have happened under normal circumstances. How important is that in the cycle of developing new products, new services, new everything when it comes to this sort of hybrid meeting room, Tyler? Is this really like accelerating this development cycle?
Yeah, I think it obviously none of us saw this coming. And so I think every manufacturer has it's a data set. And at the end of the day, data is what helps drive our business models. So, products that we might have been working on, we see a new focus in maybe enabling more intelligent artificial, AI backends within microphone systems to effortlessly work with these virtual platforms to allow for things like, touchless dialing systems or something like that. So it's how do we utilize the technology within our portfolio and expand upon that to help, empower end users and organizations to really take on the next step of this technology and empower their end users to feel like they can safely return to work.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, well, look, thanks for that, Tyler. I mean, look, we're getting towards the end of the session, but I really want to leave our viewers with something special to take away. Let's go around the room, or let's go around the virtual room. For those businesses who are sat at home or maybe in the office, if they're lucky enough to be there, thinking, how do I bring this hybrid meeting space to life? How do I go about it? What's the one sort of piece of advice you would give that business owner? Marcus, do you want to start us off? What's that one sort of core thing they should be thinking about?
I would say they should think about how many people, first think about how many people will still like to work from home. And this is what the companies should do, ask if they are comfortable. Because otherwise, if they're not comfortable to come back and say, okay, we build the rooms for the people to come back, it makes, in my eyes, not much sense to build everything up and then nobody wants to use it. So first, maybe look if they can get the acceptance. And then they should equip the rooms that you can do the most things you want to do in these kind of rooms, and not build anything in there what you need. So you have to have rooms for meetings, for workshops, for other things. And then what is the main thing what is most important for you work together in the company. A construction company has different requirements than maybe somebody out of the education area or doing workshops. So this is something, look what you really need. And this is then you have to look for maybe also technology. And then you have to choose technology wisely that the people really will use it in the future. So that is, I think it's the main thing is about acceptance, and then plan the rooms regarding this. And of course, look at the new technologies that are coming. So there are a lot of new things now, as Tyler mentioned. We are now in a new phase and think of, okay, how can we eliminate noise from the original sound? So look there that you find maybe also this kind of equipment that is using new technologies or even new artificial intelligence to really make this meeting as smooth as possible. So that's the main thing. So first think about this and then start to invest. Yeah.
Okay. Espen, what should business owners be thinking about now? How do they transition to this hybrid meeting room space?
Yeah, I think they have to. I mean, it's back to what I said previously. I mean, they need to start with making sure their employees feel safe about returning. So they need to initially to invest in capabilities and technology that allows employees to feel safe and communicate that very clearly that we made this investment so that you can return safely. And then I think they need to be thinking about analytics that they actually kind of understand how, to a large degree, how spaces are actually being used. Invest in technology that allows them to understand that, both from a kind of a sensor capability and an analytics platform technology. That's something we're kind of building into both our devices and our platform on the WebEx side. And then you have to think scale from day one. You need to make sure that you're starting to invest in technology platforms and device platforms that will actually enable you to scale when you see this working, right? And as you see more and more employees returning. So safety, analytics, and scale. That's what you need to think about.
Excellent. And Tyler, I've left you at the end. Hopefully you've still got something to say. But,
yeah, I mean,
what should businesses be thinking about?
To simply echo Marcus and Espen, it's communication. It's communication with your users. It's making sure that line of communication is wide open to know what's working, know what's not working, obviously be open to change, to be open to reimagining different ways to meet, and then finding good partnerships, working with manufacturers, being open to looking at new technology and trying things. Because there's a lot of really smart people, not just on this call, but globally, who are coming out with incredible products, and it's really gonna to leverage and empower the market to come up with great solutions. And I think, obviously us at Shure and Yamaha and Cisco WebEx and like I said, a lot of manufacturers were coming out with a lot of really, really cool products. And so it's making sure that you're staying in touch with how these markets are evolving and how these products are changing, because it's going to empower you to kind of create this safer space for your employees.
Absolutely. Well, I think that's a great place to end today's discussion. Marcus, Espen, and Tyler, thank you so much for joining me. And thank you for watching. You've been watching UC Summit. My name is David Dungay. If you like today's show, please give us a like and a share on social. We'll see you next time.